Welcome back, everyone.
Welcome back.
So, I have a question. What are you going to do? I know this is a thing that comes up a lot, uh, and I don't mean to harp on it, but I'm curious. What are you going to do when your kids start school about Santa?
I'm gonna just teach them. I'm gonna have Arcus teach them of Sinterklaas.
Oh
And
Lord! I mean, are you going to
do
tell
that.
them not to like ruin it for other kids and stuff?
No, I mean, here's the deal. I'm not the only decision maker. To remember.
What do you mean?
So I have a feeling that the wife is going to want to go on with the tradition.
But it's now's the time. Like it ain't like I mean, like Jack's old enough
He's
now.
still, no, not really.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
yes and no.
I just think
I mean,
all yes, actually.
he's not even 3.
Yeah, absolutely. He remembers things from when he was 3, and he's
So he's
going to
not even
remember
3.
them like next Christmas.
I mean, see,
The reason why I ask
actually,
is like we just did the Santa workshop thing at my daughter's school,
right?
and so that's a big like thing. Well, I mean, they have all these things that happen at the school, and this is not. I've been curious if it's just like my daughter's school or if this is a common thing at every school. But like the elf on the shelf, that is a thing that every teacher's classroom does.
That's so weird to me because that was just not a thing when.
Right, it was a thing for us, right? Yeah, my elf arrives tomorrow, actually.
What is it? A new elf? A resurrected one? Did you kill yours?
No, I never had one here. It's not been a thing, and I've always told my daughter whenever she's asked, like, why don't we have an elf? And I'm like, well, maybe it's a thing. Like, it's kind of like your house elf from Harry Potter. You haven't read Harry Potter, right?
No, I haven't read it.
Okay, well, like in Harry Potter, like there's these house elves, and like it's part of your family. It's something that like it's property basically. They're slaves, and so like whenever you die, it's inherited down throughout your family. And so I told her maybe that like the elf on the shelf is kind of like that too, where since I didn't have one growing up, we don't have a family elf sort of thing. I was like, so maybe that's why we don't have one, and like the reason why they have one at her mom's house now is because maybe Crystal's husband had an elf or something like that. I was like, I don't really know. I basically try to play dumb, like, well, I don't know. I mean, maybe this is why, sort of thing. And so I think it makes it seem more believable too. Whenever I also don't have a clue. But
how are you going to explain away this one then?
Well, that's the thing. I don't know because she asked the fairies if they would send a letter to Santa Claus and get us an elf.
I still wish she asked the fairies if Santa Claus is real.
No, I do agree that would probably be the most fantastic thing that she could ever ask them. So after she asked, and I asked her the next day, I was like, well, what'd they say? And so they didn't respond. She's like, but I'm pretty sure I saw something jump out of the mailbox when I opened it. So she's convinced that there's somewhere around here there is an elf and he's been sent, and we haven't seen him yet. So she thinks that he's here, that the elves fulfilled the request, and the fairies fulfilled the request, and he's here somewhere. We just haven't spotted him yet.
So where does the elf go after this holiday?
He lives with Santa. He's basically a spy for Santa. He comes to your house for Christmas and he reports back to Santa. Like she'll tell me about at her mom's house, like, oh, the elf wasn't here today, and I was like, where did he go? He's like, oh, I think he went back to the North Pole to put a report in because he wasn't around today. So like each day, she wakes up and like the elf has got into something new. Like this morning he was in the bathroom and he unrolled the toilet paper and was all messed up in the toilet paper. And they're kind of like mischievous to some degree. They always are doing something.
Right, but I mean, out of when the holidays.
Yeah, when the holiday ends, they go back to the North Pole because they live with Santa year round, and then they come back.
So
during
you have
Christmas.
to like hide them.
Yeah.
So now you have a new thing to hide.
Well, I have in my office, there's a closet, and she knows that she's not allowed in that closet. She knows there's a shotgun in there, but she also knows that's where all the toys are hidden, and she respects that. And like she knows if she ever goes in there, all those things go back. So actually, I just put everything in that closet, and she's always respected that, and I just hope that she'll continue to respect that.
Yeah, I mean that's good to have. to have that be a space that is respected because it makes it easier.
Right. I mean, she might hit an age where she finally just goes in there, but with the shotgun's not loaded. I don't even keep bullets like in there either. I keep them separate, so just for extra safety. But I think
it's just one of the things to prove why you can't go in there. I purposely bought a shotgun just so
right.
my daughter wouldn't go in that room.
But yeah, I mean, I do hope that the shotgun helps keep her out as well. But yeah, so far that's worked out for us. But yeah, I don't know. I wanted to keep this elf tradition thing something. It's like that's where I drew my line. I was finally just like, listen, I don't want the whole elf thing. But
now you are going to have the whole elf.
Yeah, thing. No, that's what I'm saying. I drew the line there, but
look at you and your concept of fairies, and it just blew up in your face.
I guess so. Yeah. I know a lot of people whose kids have this whole fairy garden thing going on. I don't know to what extent each family takes it, though. Like, I don't know.
I've never heard of the fairy garden thing until you.
I know there's lots of kids I know that have them, but I don't know how many of the kids like write letters to their fairies and stuff. And that wasn't something that we taught her. That's just something she started doing. So like the mailbox that she sends everything in, that was an Easter present. It came from the Easter bunny, and it had like eggs and stuff inside of the mailbox. And like we never said like this, no one ever said this is a fairy mailbox or anything like that. She just like set it up with the rest of her fairy stuff. And then one night she was like, I'm gonna put letters in here. And I was like, okay, who are these letters to? And she's like, I'm gonna write to the fairies. And I was like, oh, well, I don't know if they'll respond. And it kind of went from there. The thing that's my selling point on that was whenever she lost her tooth, she was like, I'm going to put my tooth in here for the tooth fairy. And I was like, that's a fantastic place to put your tooth for the tooth fairy because it's not under a pillow that's hard to get to. So
I guess since I didn't I kind of interrupted your point, but as a parent with a child in school, which I'm not there yet, does the school have any discussion with parents and say like, no. If you're a parent of a non-believer or whatever, like we try to respect all,
no, blah, blah, I do remember or something. In kindergarten, she got something home and maybe I don't know if it was from like the school or from her class, but I do remember getting something home at one point and basically asking that question, does your family have beliefs that this infringes on? And I think we talked about this last time we recorded even, because I remember growing up that like whenever we would do the Santa stuff, there was a group of kids that got pulled out of the class, and I just assumed they went somewhere to be sad because they weren't able to participate.
Yeah, we definitely did talk about that, but I guess we didn't talk about it to the extent of, do they somehow tell you do they tell you to tell your kids not to ruin it for other people if you like are openly a non-believer?
No, I guess they just hope that your family's not an asshole. Because I mean,
now I'm just an asshole for being.
I mean, if you let your kids go and ruin fun for other people, I think that does qualify as being an asshole. I mean, I think that's just bad parenting, not teaching your kid. No, I'm not saying you're a bad parent because I don't think you would purposely teach your kid to just go ruin fun for other people. But I think parents that don't make an effort because they know that the majority believe in this thing. I mean, I've talked to my daughter about like Christianity even. I'm like, don't go around telling your kids that, your dad doesn't believe in God or that, you have your doubts about the Noah's Ark thing or things like that. I was like, this is what people believe and respect their beliefs, even if it doesn't in line with what you think is true. So I don't know. I think that's just part of parenting. And I think most parents would make sure their kid doesn't ruin it for other people.
Sure, and I agree to an extent. I just wonder if they have discussions about it. And clearly,
that's never been anything that we've had any kind of discussion with. So, yeah, I don't know. I imagine that it probably happens to teachers often though, where they have this happen, and I'm sure there's drama that happens in the classroom whenever something like this happens, right?
And I can just imagine a kid, no matter what you try to tell them at a certain age, you can tell them like, hey, child, we don't believe in like Santa Claus, other people do, blah, 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 respect their beliefs or whatever. And I can still just picture the kid being like, but our family doesn't think Santa exists,
Right. I think and I think that probably happens still, but like I think if you're in first grade or kindergarten or any of those early grades, I think what happens is you're such a minority at that point that the rest of the kids are like, "What? Your family's crazy," and that's
you
probably
get
like
beat
it.
up on the playground.
Yeah, you probably do. I've noticed that it seems like, and maybe this is just the adult seeing the kids, but I feel like there's a lot less bullying at my daughter's age than there was when I was a kid. Because I remember there was just constant bullying, but like looking at the kids and like trying to like watch them and stuff, it doesn't seem like anyone's like on the outs in any of these classrooms and stuff. And I've noticed the language that the teachers use has kind of changed from whenever I was in school. There's not, your classmates. Everyone is your friends. And like, even whenever the teachers talk to you, like if they're getting loud or something, she'll be like, "Hello, friends. We're getting a little loud." So no one is like classmates or anything like that. It's all friends. And so I don't remember it being like that whenever we were growing up.
That's interesting because it makes you wonder: are new strategies working to help decrease bullying, or are you just like misremembering, how bad bullying actually was, or maybe you just don't see it because it's only for those who get bullied that really see it in a certain way. Like,
right?
It definitely adds a lot of questions on.
Yeah, like I don't know if just because I'm an adult, I'm not seeing it because I'm not there all day with the kids or whatever. But like when I am at the school, I've never seen anyone getting bullied, I guess. But I guess you don't normally do it in front of the adults anyways.
Right. I was going to say, because honestly, like it's almost they didn't care that anybody was getting bullied because they clearly would have seen it, right? And just done nothing about it.
I remember complaining to my teachers about it. And I just got treated worse by the teacher. Like when I was going to school here, I'd gotten into some trouble and I blamed some of it on my cousin and I lied and I got caught in my lie. But then after that, like school was ruined for me because like I was new to the school. I'd only come here because my dad was sick. And so like my cousin had gone to school here his whole life. And like after I like lied about him, I brought a Playboy to school. Is the long story or short story of this. I brought a Playboy.
Did you blame that on your cousin?
I did. I said that he brought it and I was holding it for him. He was in a different classroom than me and everything.
The good old, no, I'm just holding it for someone.
Yep. So, of course, he got called to the office too and had to deny it and all this. And so, we both did this to each other. I remember one time I was in Texas during the summer and he caught the forest on fire here. And he told his mom and dad, "I think I saw Jason out there in them woods." And they're like, "Yeah, no."
I saw him playing with a lighter too.
Right.
What a weird coincidence.
We were both kind of guilty of that. But after that happened at the school, he had everyone against me. Like it was, I don't think people would believe me even now as an adult if I tried to tell them how bad it was, because like this was also the year our school burned down. And so we were in these little like trailers outside of the main building. Like every classroom was just in these little trailer buildings that they hauled in.
Was this because of said forest fire?
No, he did not. They actually caught the guy eventually that had burned the school down. I found out recently. But back then we didn't even know it was.
Was a student?
It was an ex-student. Back then the school my daughter goes to now was a K through 12, so it was like all grades or whatever, but now it's just an elementary school. But back then it was the only school around, so it went all the way. Anyways, so we were in these little trailer buildings, and like the teacher would leave the room and she would say, so and so, you're in charge while I leave, and the whole class would immediately start plotting together. Like they would literally say, "All right, what can we tell him Jason did?" And like, "All right, yeah, he started yelling cuss words and we couldn't get him to stop." And they're all just sitting there talking like I can't fucking hear him, and like the whole class would plot against me. And then the teacher would come back and they would just all have this shared story they would tell her. And so it's like literally the entire class against me. And there wasn't anything I could do to refute that, because you got, 28 other kids saying this is what happened versus me. And so that's what my whole like 4th and 5th grade was like. It was like that constantly.
That's fucked up.
It was awful. I hated going to school because it was just constant bullying. And like I had no friends at all. The one guy I thought was my friend, I remember loaning him a Nintendo game. I never got that back. So yeah, no, it was awful. That was also the school where like someone peed in the trash can, because like all of our classrooms had like its own bathroom or whatever. And because again, we were in these little trailer buildings, and someone peed in the trash can. The teacher wanted to know who did it, and every bathroom, there was only 2 bathrooms in the classroom, a men's and a woman's, and they're individual, so it's not like anyone was even in the room while you're using the bathroom. And the whole class accused me of doing it, like anyone could know. And I mean, I didn't do it. I did not pee in this trash can. But I was accused of it. And so like the boys lost their recess privileges until someone admitted to doing it. And so like every day, her name was Mrs. Ferguson. She'd pull me out of the classroom, and it got to the point where she started even saying in the class, "We all know Jason did it, but until someone admits it, no one's getting recess." And like it got bad. My dad
just admit it, Jason.
Well, yeah, no, right?
Recess, man.
My dad finally went down to the school, and like you could hear him yelling at her outside of our classroom. And then she comes back in the classroom. I remember him going, "Well, I guess I was wrong. I've been informed." But like she was a bitch. Like I asked about her recently, and apparently she works down at like the main office now, like the district office. I need to go fucking talk to her actually, and just be like, let's talk about this fucking trash can woman. But I haven't ever done that. But it was such a weird thing too, because when I lived in Texas, like I was on the football team, I was popular, like everything was great, and then I moved to come stay with my dad while he was sick, and this is what I had to deal with. So it was just this weird thing where I went from being, you know, mostly a popular kid to like just completely picked on and bullied, which I guess I did it to myself in some degree with the whole Playboy thing. But yeah, I don't know.
That's still just weird that everybody would just plot against you. And
yeah, it was crazy. And I would think that a teacher would eventually see this. Like, I mean, they ended up putting me like in counseling at the school. So like I lost my recess privileges, period. I had to go see the counselor every day during recess and talk about like my family life and all this other shit. Like, I guess he thought I was totally fucked up, gonna fucking shoot the school up. I mean, this was back before people shot the school up, but if it was like this day and age, I'm assuming they'd
like
assume
jail now,
right? Basically, surveillance. I mean, one time in Texas, I accidentally brought a boot knife to school in my jacket pocket because I'd been playing with it the day before and just didn't realize it was in my inside pocket. And I'd gotten a fight with a boy at the school the week before. And so when I got to school, I realized the knife was in my pocket, and I freaked out. And so I put it in my book bag, like down at the bottom under a bunch of stuff. And then like my English teacher apparently went through our bags during lunch, because we had this weird English class where we would go to class, and then halfway through the class, we'd go to lunch and then come back to her class. And I remember coming back from her class and the knife was just gone. And I was like, what the fuck? Because I kept like checking it all day long, making sure it was there, because I was terrified that I'd brought this knife to school. And it was just gone. And then later that day I was in art and I got called down to the principal's office, and they're like, you know, they got the knife, and they're like, all right, you know, we know you brought this to school. Yeah, this was a different school, so I didn't have the cousin to blame it on. But I just told him the complete honest truth, and I remember him being like, no, bullshit. We know you brought this to school I think it was Stevie was the name of the kid I was supposed to be there to stab. And I do nothing I could say.
They brought it purposely because you're about to stab someone.
Right. They thought I was going to stab someone, and you know, I definitely wasn't, and I told him the complete truth, and I got suspended from school for it. But it was just a 2-day suspension. Nowadays, you'd be expelled permanently for bringing a knife to school.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that a lot of things like that happen though, and kids, like, it's like one of the, like, for instance, if that happened to me in this day and age now, I would have been expelled from school and possibly like ruined my whole future because of one small mistake like that, right? So like, I wonder how often a whole kid's future gets ruined because, you know, they were playing with a knife and accidentally brought it to school the next day or something like that. And meanwhile, there was no malicious intent at all.
I mean, sadly, it could be a lot more often than we realize, for sure.
Yeah.
I remember when I was in, not the same type of story, but when I was in my EMT class, I mean, we're talking, you know, in 2009, I was, you know, 30 years old, you know, not quite 30 years old at the time, but, you know, we're talking older in life. And my EMT class was a bunch of people who were like, you know, young 16, you know, 18-year-olds, but, you know, a handful of people that were like me, like, you know, young adults, but, you know, it was a mix of ages. But there were also these 3 guys from the military base down the street that had a joint agreement that they were allowed to be in this EMT class with the firefighters because their base needed EMTs, and, you know, the firefighters were just working with the EMTs. So, or with the the base. So we had these 3 Army guys that were in there with us. And they were cool dudes, and I was like, they were older as well. Like the leader guy. I don't remember what rank he was because, I'm sorry, I wasn't in the military. He was in his like late 20s, and the 2 people that were under him that were in their like earlier 20s, but still like close to the same age range. They weren't just like 16-year-old kids, things like that. So we hung out. Like I was was really good friends with them in class. And one day we got in trouble in the class and it's funny because I felt like I was back in high school, and because I'm getting in trouble in class.
Right.
What happened was our instructor had found what they constituted threats written on a piece of paper that had like, I don't know if it was on the ground or what it was, but it constituted these threats. And we literally got back from our lunch break, and it was, a lunch break for adults because you'd leave and you drive to go get your lunch somewhere, and you come back to this, I'm 30 fucking years old, we come back and they're literally just lecturing us about, threats to people and what it means, and how until somebody owns up to who made these threats, and clearly you must know who you are, we're gonna hold everybody back. Nobody's gonna graduate this EMT class. We're just gonna cancel it right now. Expel, quote unquote, everybody, kick everybody out, except for these 3 guys. The only 3 people in this class that are gonna pass this class are gonna be these people from the Army, because they're not part of the fire department. They don't deserve to have to go through this. It's a shame that the Army has to see us act like this.
Oh God, it was them, wasn't it?
Fuck, the next day, all of a sudden, nothing was said again because he made us sit there. He was done with content at 2. Class didn't until 4:30. They usually let us out early if we were done with content. We sat in these seats silent for 2.5 hours because he wouldn't let us leave because we had to get the hours. He's not going to let us leave anymore. He didn't teach us anything. Literally 2.5 hours with silence. We just sat there until they let us go. The next day we get back there, all of a sudden lecture's going on like normal. Not a fucking word is said. And I'm talking to the Army guys on one of the breaks about what the hell happened. And they filled me in that they were writing jokes to each other, and it had fallen out of one of their like papers on the ground. So when they realized that this paper that they were like writing threats, quote unquote, to each other, they were friends. They were just having dicking around with each other in the middle of like this boring class. They went up to the instructor after they realized what had happened and said, look, it was us. We aren't making these aren't real threats that we're making to each other. It was immature. It was stupid. They went up and admitted their mistake and everything.
Yeah.
So it was them, but the fucked up thing was the lead guy, or the lead instructor who just gave us this whole speech, made us sit there for 2.5 hours, never said another fucking word about it again.
That's such bullshit. Like he didn't own up to
Yeah, just tell us. We found out who it is. It's like my apologies to telling everybody else basically there. Don't even have to out it. Don't even have to tell us it was the Army guys that did this. Just be like, the parties have come forward. The situation is now resolved. Moving on. Just didn't say a word about it again.
Right.
And it's fucking like egg on this dude's face, and he knows it because he literally just basically praised these 3 guys and took everybody else out at the knees when it turns out it was those 3 guys. And luckily those 3 guys weren't assholes and weren't just going to be like, okay, we're clearly off the hook. We just won't say a word. They went and admitted their mistake. They knew it was them. They went and admitted their mistake. And,
wow.
It's fucked up. So fucked up.
I found out years later who peed in the trash can, and he's got the same last name. No, but he's got the same last name as the teacher, and I always wondered if they were related because I would have loved that aspect if they were. After all the drama.
Wait, are you sure it wasn't the teacher?
Right. God. Did I ever tell you?
How do they find out? How do you find out somebody peed in a trash can out of curiosity?
I don't know how they even I would love to know the whole story, honestly, because all I know is the version of the story where I'm getting yelled at outside after everyone has because I remember them passing a thing around the class and you had to write down if it was you and it was going to be anonymous or whatever. And I guess a lot of people wrote down it was me. And
You're like, that's not the exercise.
right. And maybe maybe it was also, if you know something, you can say something, sort of thing. I don't really know exactly. I just remember being in the classroom and being told to write down who did it, basically, and like it wasn't me, so like, you know, whatever. I was always overly honest as a kid too, because I guess because I got accused of lying. Like I was like, I'm just not gonna lie about things, and like, because if I don't lie, then I can't get in trouble. But that sure as fuck doesn't work, because you're still accused of lying when you tell the truth. So like, I don't know, but yeah, I don't know what happened exactly to convince this teacher. Like someone must have said that I admitted to it or something, or unless she just hated me as much as the rest of the fucking class did. I don't know.
What was her last name? Was it the same?
Ferguson. That's what I'm saying. It was Greg Ferguson's the peer, and Mrs. Ferguson was the teacher. So I don't know. I don't know if they're related though. But I do think I will look. I mean, I know exactly where she works. I think I'll go pay her a visit sometime soon.
Be like, so about that trash can.
I am serious. Did I ever tell you about it? My grandma's 80th birthday party. There was a girl in my class. Her name was Amy, and me and my cousin both always had a crush on her. And I think everyone had a crush on her. Honestly, she was all cute and stuff. You know, we were elementary school, so I mean, I don't know. You know, okay, she was sexy. You know, I mean, not like that. Just
that's sexy little girl. And I was.
Oh God, FBI, open up.
The sound clips can be taken so out of context now.
Yep. Nope. Your next thing now. Racist Jeff. Now pedophile Jeff.
Yep, no longer can I run for any office ever.
But you know, I didn't know this at the time, but we were related. And I guess that's fine. We live in the South. But
that's how you justify it.
But I found out years later honestly, I didn't even know up until adulthood. And at my grandmother's 80th birthday party, so the hell, this has been 13 years ago at this point. She was there, and I was like, I remember you and all this, and that's when I found out we were related. And after the whole thing was over, we're standing there, and we're standing beside a trash can, and it reminds me of the whole incident. And so I say to Amy, by the way, I didn't pee in that trash can. And she just looks at me so confused. And I guess it didn't resonate with the girls as much because they didn't lose their recess and stuff. But she had no fucking idea what I was talking about. And she's just looking at me and looking at this trash can we're standing beside. And it's the most embarrassing moment, I think, of my life, honestly, where I told my, I guess, cousin that I didn't pee in the trash can. And then I tried to explain it to her, and then I don't know. I hope that she has no memory of this. But boy, it was rough.
Pee in no trash can. What did you ever see that South Park with the poop in the urinal?
Yeah, I think you asked me this. I think I've told you this story before.
You have talked about it before, but I couldn't remember all else.
Yeah.
So I also wanted to hear it again. I remember the Amy story now.
I'm still embarrassed by that one.
I just like to make you relive some embarrassing moments of your life over and over and over again.
I was telling one the other night, and I guess I haven't ever told this story on Twitch before or in any video or something, because everyone act like they never heard it. But my grandma, someone started talking about a poop knife. You ever heard of a poop knife?
I mean, I've heard about it from It's Always Sunny.
Oh, is it an Always Sunny thing? Apparently, it started on Reddit. It's like the whole Doritos and all those other memes on Reddit. Where do you know it doesn't matter if you don't know the Dorito story. You don't want to know it.
I don't think I know the Dorito story, but I might look it up now.
Oh God, it's the grossest thing. No, it's the grossest thing. Just leave that one out of your memory. You'll be better off.
Okay. I'll probably read it.
Oh,
thoroughly.
Well, don't anyone else out there read it. Anyways,
Doritos poop knife, everybody. Okay, Google, what's a Doritos poop knife? I mean, Alexa, what's a Doritos poop knife? Let's see if that got some things going on for people at home.
Doritos poop knife. Well, anyways, whenever I was growing up, at one time, this only happened once, but I'd taken a shit and it was too big to flush. Like the bank's too big to fail, too big to flush. So my grandma made me go outside and get the damn hoe to like chop it up with so it would flush. And she likes to tell this to everybody. She hasn't told it in a while, which is good because I haven't had to hear it from her in a while. But my cousin would torment me with this fucking story my whole childhood. He'd be like, "Oh, the old poop hoe." So
old poop hoe.
Yeah.
I just want to know, like, I want to know what's going through your grandmother's mind when she's like, I gotta tell somebody about the whole poopo.
I know, right? Like, don't embarrass your grandkid.
That's amazing. I mean, that is like, is that her point too? Does she know it's that embarrassing, or she? Just
I don't even know. I mean, everyone would always laugh, so I think she just enjoyed entertaining people with the story, and that was her. Like, I can make people laugh. I tell them about the poop hoe.
Oh, the poop hoe. I take it Twitch liked it too.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Do you have a poop hoe emoji yet?
No, I don't know if they'd allow that.
I mean, you could try, see what happens.
Yeah, you never know what they'll allow. Maybe I should do a thing where if I get to my next emote, I have to get to 1,200 subscribers to get to my next emote, and I'm at like 600. So like, because I got a huge gift sub like a year ago, and so it's there's no chance I'll ever get another emote. Basically, I have the number of emotes I will always have. So yeah, make a goal. If I unlock a new emote, it'll be the poop hoe.
I mean, it might get you there.
It might.
All you need is 600 of your followers, which is all of them, to buy a second account.
Right? Yeah.
It could be done.
But anyways, we should stop here. We've gotten most of the walls done.
Yeah, I know. Actually, I have to go out and get some more wood just to start making the fences.
Nice.
I just don't remember before we actually end it. Some of them have the glowstone. Where did the one go with the glowstone on the side? Some of the glowstone back, and some of them we had lava.
We decided we wanted to go with lava. We were testing both, but we decided on lava. We just haven't done it.
Okay, so we're getting rid of the glowstone and the ones that have the glowstone.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. That's what I thought, but I was wondering why do we leave them there? I couldn't remember if there was a.
Yeah, I think we just never got to it. Basically, we're too busy digging.
Touch pick or something. All right.
Alrighty. Well, we'll see you guys next time.
See ya.